When I'm playing Diablo 3 live on Twitch TV, people are always asking me what support build am I using for my Barbarian. Now, it does vary. Right now, what you see is rat runs, this insanely fast way to farm your Paragon points. It is the fastest and most efficient way to farm Paragon points. That's right, you're in for one of the biggest secrets in Diablo 3. If you're not already aware, the best way to farm Paragon points is with rat runs, which is what you see me doing right here. And as promised, I'm going to go through my support builds for my Barbarian in detail right here on YouTube, with also a link to a D3 planner. Now, what you see right here is me just supporting the group, making sure that we're buffing the group, keeping them alive with ignore pain, also putting debuffs on enemies. We're making sure we're furious charging into them to increase damage that they take. So everyone's basically zerging on through, and the aim here is to do these runs in 2 minutes or under. Well, sub 2 minute really, and then we rinse and repeat and keep on going, and obviously doing high GR as possible with this group, as quick as possible in under 2 minutes. Then we just keep on going and going and going, and obviously your Paragon points keep raking up there. And as you can see, as we're coming to a close here, we're going to go to town and go through this build in detail, and then in the future we'll go through the Wizard Bird Run support build as well, which is a bit different. So this is the pickup radius ZBarb for rat runs, and let's go through the build together so you can be up and running doing rats yourself. All right, let's go to town.
Okay, let's go to town.
This is as close to town as I like to get, so lots to cover off here. Let's start off with, I suppose, the skills that we're using. We're using Furious Charge with Merciless Assault, Leap with Iron Impact, Sprint with Forced March, Warcry, Veteran's Warning, Threatening Shout with Falter, Ignore Pain, Mob Rule. Passives, Inspiring Presence, Nerves of Steel, Superstition, and Relentless. Looking at the gear, alright, so the gear gets a little bit complex. There's a few things that you definitely need to keep in mind, and I'll go through each piece individually. I think that'll be the best way. So we have Leonard's crown here with a flawless royal ruby for maximum experience. So obviously we want as much experience bonus as possible, because we're doing these fast rat runs in sub 2 minutes. Everyone's going to benefit from the extra XP. So especially as the ZBarb, we're going to definitely rake up these Paragon points as we keep on progressing through our seasonal journeys, or non-seasonal, whatever you prefer to play. Now, very importantly though, for Leoric's crown, obviously an ancient one gives you more stats, but you want to make sure you have more like health benefits and survivability benefits. You don't really want crit or bonus damage to certain abilities. We're not doing damage here. You got to get your minds out of the DPS mindset. You need to go into full support mode. So anything with like life, vitality, health regen, resistance, that's all what we definitely want for our support barbs. We don't care about any crit damage, crit chance, or anything like that, or area damage. Definitely no area damage. We want to keep our area damage at 0, but we'll get to that shortly. So for Lyric's crown, make sure you have the ruby, you have some life. Strength is great because it gives you armor as well, so that's extra damage reduction and survivability. I've got regen here, but vitality would have been ideal as well. Now, most importantly, you can see my secondary stat there is increased gold and health pickup by 2 yards. You definitely want to make sure you have the 2-yard pickup radius, because we want to be at 27 pickup radius maximum. Let's have a look here and I'll show you what I mean. So here, bonus to the pickup radius, gold and globe radius is 27. That means when those juicy purple orbs drop in those greater rifts that we're farming, it's our job as the Barbarian to make sure that we pick them up so we can progress on through as quickly as possible. Missing juicy purple orbs when we kill elites is a big no-no, and you'll probably get kicked from groups if you keep on missing orbs. So that pickup radius is definitely going to help. You don't have to get as close to them, you'll absorb them. Yum, consume them. Juicy purple orbs. So make sure you have the pickup radius by 2. It's probably the most important stat here for Leoric's crown. And keep in mind, vitality and life and resist, things like that is what you want to keep in mind as well. Don't worry about damage at all. The spine of the savages here, same sort of thing. We want to make sure that we have the pickup radius by 2 here. As much vitality, cooldown, resist all as humanly possible. Like, this is probably the perfect set of shoulders here We have some strength for armor, vitality for health. We have resist all. Resist all is really important too, and cooldown reduction definitely, so you can keep spamming your abilities and keep spamming your ignore pain, and that way you keep your group alive and you keep them doing maximum damage to enemies. Rondell's Locket here. We have a very huge gold and health pickup radius of 6 yards. The Rondell's Locket goes up to a maximum of 6 yards, and you want to make sure it's at 6. If you're lucky like I am, it'll roll at 6. Or if you have every other stat that you need there, such as your cooldown reduction, your life, vitality if possible, and strength, then you can roll your secondary stat for 6 pickup yard radius. But you want to make sure you have that 6 yards, otherwise you're not going to be able to get to that total maximum 27 pickup radius, which is what we have. Alright, so we're a per barb. Pickup radius of 27 is maximum, and this is definitely what you want for the Rondell's Locket. Rondell's Locket has the largest secondary stat for pickup radius with 6 yards there. So you want to make sure you have 6. I can't stress it enough. 6 yards. And again, you want to aim for like health bonuses, resistance, and cooldown reduction, which I think I've done pretty well there with that item. Markings of Savages, the chest piece. Again, we want to make sure that we have that gold and health pickup radius by 2 yards, which I have there. And then again, you want armor and like vitality. I haven't actually rolled the perfect Markings of Savages stats here. I can go back, I can remove Call of the Ancients there and put in vitality. So obviously focusing on anything that helps us survive, and any cooldown reduction is beneficial. But most importantly, you'll be able to survive also, even if you're missing vitality like I am here. It's not like a huge deal, especially with rats. Everything's being frozen by the Z-neck. But most importantly, again, make sure you have gold and health pickup by 2 yards. Let's look at the braces here. The strong arm braces, super important. So enemies that are hit with a knockback, which is going to come from our charging, they take increased damage by 26%. This can go up to a maximum of 30%. So if you roll a good strong arm bracer, that goes up to a 30% damage increase for any enemies knocked back. That is perfect for that particular stat. And this is also what we proc when we're charging enemies. So every time we charge through an enemy with our Furious Charge there, which, you know, we'll be able to keep up more and more because of our cooldown reductions that we get while killing shit. You want to, every time you knock back an enemy with your Furious Charge, then everyone in your group does that increased damage by 30%, which is nice. So we have a few different ways to increase damage that we do to enemies that we come across. And obviously we benefit the entire group, or our rats and bone spears, because they're damage dealers. We benefit them with all these awesome juicy multipliers that we get. And once again, make sure for your braces you have health for gold and pickup radius, or overall pickup radius. Make sure it's up at 2 yards there. As you can see, I had to roll it there secondary. So you want a good combination of like vitality, cooldown reduction if possible, resist all, and like I've got crit chance there, but obviously you can't get all of those juicy stats on every item. Not every item can give you cooldown reduction, and not every item can give you resist all either. So for these, at least I've got vitality, I've got some life regen. I'm reasonably happy, especially with the what you want to focus on as well. Maybe if you had like vitality and strength, definitely the pickup radius by 2 yards you definitely want, and then as high as number as possible for the legendary stat there of 26 yards. It can go up to 30. I'm missing 4, so you want to try and get 30%. Moving on down, we've got Kane's gloves here. Now what I did, you can also log on to like a intelligence class such as a wizard or a witch doctor or anything that prioritizes intelligence, and you can make these items, some of them, on that secondary class. So for instance, I logged onto my wizard and made canes on the wizard, so I can get that intelligence bonus, because intelligence will give you extra resist all, and resist all is definitely very nice for the ZBarb. Particularly if you're doing the wizard bird runs, its survivability and resist all comes into play big time, because you can die a lot easier. But for rats, it's not huge, but that intelligence does give you a nice boost to resist all. So I highly recommend getting intelligence. And once again, all the stats, prioritize all the stats that I mentioned, and again, pick up radius by 2 yards. The belt, very important here, Prod of Cassius. So for the legendary stat there, increased duration of ignore pain by 6 seconds, you want to make sure you get that 6 seconds buff there. It's going to definitely benefit the group. Ignore pain will stay on them for for as long as humanly possible. And with Prod of Cassius, it goes up to a maximum of 6 seconds. It's a maximum of 6 seconds, so I've got it there, and you definitely, again, want to prioritize all those stats that I said, but making sure that you have that pickup radius by 2 yards again, so we can try and work towards that 27 maximum. The rings, we can't get pickup radius for these, so you don't have to worry about it. But again, make sure you prioritize the stats that I mentioned. Anything that benefits your health, survivability, resist all that kind of stuff. Make sure you prioritize those stats. And we're using Leorex and Band of Might here for survivability, but you can also take out Band of Might and put in the Hellfire Ring, which will give you even more experience points. So groups do like running with Hellfire. I like running with Band of Might just for that extra survivability. So if we get hit with something like an explosion, a grotesque, if we're taking down, let's say, a Juggernaut and there's a lot of arcane somewhere, the extra survivability here, the 80%, is huge. So I like using this, but you can also sub out the Band of Might for Hellfire Ring, especially if you're skipping jugs. You're going to be killing shit so quickly, you're not going to be hanging around long enough to take any damage. So it just depends on what your aim is with the group. But keep that in mind. You can sub this out for the Hellfire Ring for maximum experience. The Kane's Pants here, again, I created these on my wizard for that intelligence, so I can get that resist all bonus. And again, make sure for the pants you have that pickup radius. So basically, just for the rings, you don't have the pickup radius. And then all the items that I'm mentioning here, you can go back and you can check out the D3 planner. Make sure you have that pickup radius. It's super, super important. It's going to be very beneficial to you picking up those juicy purple orbs, believe me. And people won't get upset at you if you don't miss any orbs, but if you do, they will notice. And I'm telling you right now, it may increase your chance from getting kicked from the group and definitely upsetting people. The boots we're using, illusory boots. You can only get these by completing bounties, unfortunately. So my suggestion is keep doing bounties until you get these babies, and then you'll be done and dusted. You can equip them and you won't have to worry about bounties again. Very, very beneficial because you can run through enemies at will. Nothing's going to stop you. You can, well, sorry, unhindered. If you want to be technical, you can run through enemies unhindered. So you don't bump into enemies. You can just charge into them, then run through them. And that mobility is definitely beneficial for you and the group. You can keep on moving. You can position yourself to make sure that you activate Ignore Pain and everyone benefits from it. And it's definitely going to keep your group alive, because those of you that have played rats before, you know how squishy those damn rats are. Life of a rat is not a good one. You die a lot. So same sort of stats that I mentioned here. I'll try and fly through this guide. Also, again, make sure that you get that pickup radius of 2 yards. So now as we move into the weapons here to finalize talking about the gear equipped, a good way to remember it is all the items except the 2 weapons and 2 rings have pickup radius. So everything here, make sure you have that pickup radius. Everything goes by 2 except for the Rondell's Locket, which has a pickup radius of 6. A big 6-yard pickup radius, so it's very, very important. So all these items here, all the way down, and then the 2 rings, 2 weapons, don't have any pickup radius options there. If they did, we'd probably go for it to have some sort of insane amount of pickup radius, but 27 is the max you can get right now. Talking about the weapons, I've got Ingeom and Echoing Fury here for our rat runs. Ingeom, again, prioritize all the stats, and if you are in a position, if you've done a lot of farming, grinding, and you'll find that you have a lot of gems leveled up, you can definitely augment your items here with intelligence like I have. It'll definitely be beneficial for those Firebird runs because you're taking a lot more damage. For the rats, generally you'll be staying alive very, very easily, but it's great to augment with intelligence to increase that resist all, because barbarians suck with resistances. So definitely augment items with intelligence if you're planning on doing some Firebird runs. If you're strictly just going to stick to rats, then it's probably not too much of a worry for you unless you are dying here or there. Then you'll find that augmenting with intelligence will definitely boost your survivability and resist all. But for the weapons, very importantly, we have 10% cooldown for both of them. And Ingeom In Geom is especially beneficial because as soon as we kill an elite pack, our cooldowns are reduced by 10 seconds for 15 seconds. So usually if you kill one elite pack, you're going to be moving so fast, you're going to maintain that cooldown because every 15 seconds, you'll likely be killing elite packs in that 15 seconds or under. The only problem you need to keep in mind here is it has to be an elite pack. So if you kill a yellow elite all on its own, you're going to find that sometimes this does not proc unless you literally kill all of the enemies that are around him. Sometimes you might miss one and it won't constitute as a pack, so you won't get that cooldown. So whenever you see blue packs, you'll definitely benefit from this cooldown, but sometimes if you see like a yellow elite all on his own, if you don't kill all the enemies around him as well, then it doesn't constitute as a pack and you may not get that cooldown, so you might struggle there a little bit. But for the most part, you should definitely maintain that cooldown reduction for the most part, because we are doing sub 2-minute runs here. Echoing Fury, like I mentioned, make sure you get that cooldown reduction, but nothing too important to keep in mind there. And you can see here that I actually got these weapons on my wizard as well. You can also send these weapons over to an alternate character like a level 1 wizard just to reforge them in Canai's Cube, and that way you get the intelligence stat instead of the strength which comes with the barbarian. So it's just, I suppose, just have a good mixture of intelligence items like I do here and strength as well, and you should be fine, especially if you augment a few items. The Firebird runs, which I'll go through in another video, because it's a bit of a different setup there, some different items and different skills, different way of playing, is a little bit harsher on the ZBarb. It's a bit harder to stay alive, but there are ways we can definitely remedy that, and as you start getting more and more Paragons, it's going to become easier as well. Alright, we've been blogging for a while, so let's try and charge through this video. The gems we're using, like I mentioned, the ruby here, for the chest and the pants, make sure you're using your diamond gems here for resist all. The legendary gems we're using Gorgok of Swiftness for that cooldown reduction. We're using the Wreath of Lightning for that movement speed increase, which is going to be awesome. And Gem of Efficacious Toxin. This one's going to increase damage for all of our allies in the group. In this case, our Bone Spear and our Rat, or if you're using 2 rats for your rats. Either way, for your DPS allies. I think that covers off the gear pretty well. Let's go into Canai's Cube here. Of course, if there's any questions, please hit me up in the comments down below and I'll definitely help you. Or you can come and visit me live on Twitch TV and I'll definitely answer any questions there that you may have live. For Canai's Cube here, we're using Messerschmitt's Reaver for some more cooldown. Chilanic's Chain for more movement speed increase for our Warcry there, and Jewelry Oculus Ring. So this is awesome for our DPS allies because when they stand in the Oculus Ring, they'll be able to do 85% increased damage. So we're buffing our allies as much as humanly possible and debuffing enemies we're charging into and making contact with by increasing the damage that they take from our DPS allies in our group. So Paragon, obviously it should be maxed out if you're grinding and farming Paragon levels, but what you want to do is, if you're just starting out as a support barb, very, very importantly is you don't want to have any area damage. So number 1, as you can see here in utility, I've got points everywhere, and if your points aren't maxed out, make sure you begin by putting your points into gold pickup radius first. Again, very important we get that maximum pickup radius, then life per hit, then resource cost reduction. Don't put anything in your area damage, and luckily I did get into the Paragon points because it's reminded me to ensure that you don't have area damage anywhere on any items here because it lags the group. For some reason in Diablo 3, area damage lags the entire group. You want to make sure that everybody has 0 area damage. It's just one of those things. Trust me, even the smallest amount of points can lag the group severely. It's just the server can't keep up with all the processes going through area damage, especially when you have large packs. Rats isn't too bad, but for the Firebird Wizard runs, it does get pretty bad. The lag gets severe. So if you're ever unsure, have a look over here. Area damage should be 0.00. There should not be any numbers there other than zeros, just zeros. Okay, so, but again, very importantly in utility, that make sure you get those points out, because you might have been like farming keys or something, you might have had area damage for extra damage while you're farming keys. Just make sure before you join some group play, and you get into that support gear, just make sure that you have 0 area damage. Now let's go to core. As usual, we want to make sure that we have movement speed cap of 25%. I've got 12 on my boots, on my illusory boots, so 13 in Paragon equals 25. That's our maximum movement speed cap, so no point putting more points into movement speed. You do not benefit, you don't go any faster beyond 25%. So then we go into splitting points between vitality and strength. Now for the Firebird wizard runs, which I'll talk about in another video specifically for them, I'll put a lot more points into vitality. But you can definitely split them for rats between strength and vitality 50-50 if you want to. I always put a bit more in vitality. We're not really worried, obviously, for increasing any damage, because we're not doing any damage. We're literally supporting and trying to stay alive as much as possible. So I think putting a little bit more, let's say like 70-80% into vitality and then the rest into strength for that armor increase is definitely fine. For offense, again, if you're not maxed out like I am, if you are, just pump all of the stats filled with points. But if you're not, go to cooldown reduction first, then attack speed, and then crit chance, crit damage. It doesn't really matter because we're not doing any damage, like I said. With defense, we want to go resist all, armor, then life, and then life regen in that order. Utility, we've already gone through. Cannot stress enough that area damage must be on 0. If unsure, always just checking your details here. Find the area damage section in the first offense part, and it should be on 0. Also, good idea to remind the group, especially if you're running with guys that you don't usually run with, if they're just random players in your group, make sure everyone is on 0% area damage. I think I've covered everything. If I've missed anything, I do apologize. I try and keep these videos as short as possible, but when it comes to build guides, I like to be really thorough, really concise and clear, and make sure that I've covered off everything I possibly can. So the gems are done, the gear's done, the skills, Paragons, Can Ice Cube. Is there anything that I've missed? I've talked about augmenting. If you're going to use any gems to augment for your support build, make sure that you use the intelligence gems, because you'll definitely benefit the most from resist all. I think that's it. I'll be back to cover off the Firebird Wizard support build for the Barbarian class in the near future, so stay tuned for that. And if you want to join me live, you're more than welcome to do so on twitch.tv/Manic13. Join the creepy army and follow me there. There's a lot of fun to have for all of us. At Twitch, we have the best music going around, the best beer that money can buy, and the best company that anyone can possibly find through the power of the internet.